The campsite that wasn't on any map. If you ever find a campsite deep in the forest that looks too perfect, leave. I don't mean a nice flat clearing beside a creek. I don't mean a spot with dry firewood or a good view of the mountains. I mean a campsite that looks like it was waiting for you, a perfect circle of stones, fresh-cut logs stacked beside a fire ring, a clean tent already pitched, no trash, no footprints, no signs that anyone walked in or walked out. Just a quiet little campsite sitting in the woods like someone built it 5 minutes before you arrived. If you ever find a place like that, don't tell yourself you got lucky. Don't take pictures. Don't call out to see if anyone is nearby. And whatever you do not sleep there. Because some campsites are not made by people, some are made for people. My name is Caleb Mercer, and I used to think stories like that were nonsense. I had been camping since I was a kid. My father raised me outdoors. By the time I was 10, I knew how to start a fire in the rain, hang food away from bears, follow creek beds when I was lost, and read the sky better than any weather app. Camping was the only place my mind ever felt quiet. No bills, no traffic, no phone calls, just wind in the trees, smoke from the fire, and the kind of darkness you only find miles away from the nearest road. That October, I decided to spend a weekend alone in Briar Glen Forest. It wasn't a national park, not exactly. It was a large stretch of protected woodland tucked between two mountain counties, mostly used by hunters, hikers, and people who wanted to disappear from cell service for a few days. I had been there twice before, but never deep into the northern section. That was where the old logging roads were. That was where the maps became unreliable. And that was where I found the campsite. I arrived late Friday afternoon. The parking lot near the trailhead was almost empty. One old pickup truck sat near the entrance, covered in mud, with a cracked windshield and a faded sticker on the back window that read, "Stay Found." I remember laughing at that. It felt dramatic. I checked my pack one last time, locked my car, and started up the trail. The first few miles were beautiful. The trees had turned gold and red. Leaves drifted down in slow circles. The air smelled like wet bark and cold dirt. Somewhere far off, a woodpecker tapped against a dead trunk. I followed the marked trail until I reached a narrow footpath that split north. There was no sign, just a small ribbon of orange tape tied around a branch. I checked my paper map. There should have been an old access trail there, one used by loggers back in the 1970s. It wasn't maintained anymore, but it appeared to lead toward a ridge with a creek nearby. That was where I planned to camp. I told myself I had plenty of daylight. That was my first mistake. The path started easy enough. Then the trees grew tighter. The trail narrowed until it became little more than a depression in the leaves. Fallen branches scraped my legs. Thorn bushes tugged at my pants. Every few minutes, I had to stop and check my compass. Still, I wasn't worried. Not yet. Around 5 o'clock, the sky began to dim. Clouds rolled in, thick and gray, covering the sun earlier than I expected. The forest changed with the light. The bright colors faded into dull browns and blacks. The trees seemed taller, closer. I picked up my pace. I wanted camp set before dark. 20 minutes later, I heard water. A creek. Relief washed over me. I pushed through a wall of young pines and stepped into a clearing. At first, I smiled. It was perfect, almost impossibly perfect. The creek ran along one side, shallow and clear, sliding over flat stones. The ground was level. The trees formed a natural wall around the clearing, blocking the wind. There was even a fire ring already built in the center. Then I noticed the logs. They were stacked neatly beside the ring. Not old rotten branches. Fresh-cut logs, clean ends, pale wood, like someone had split them that morning. Beside the logs was a tent, a small green dome tent, zipped closed, no gear outside, no boots, no cooler, no backpack, just the tent, sitting there quietly. I stopped at the edge of the clearing. "Hello?" My voice sounded too loud. No one answered. I waited. The creek whispered beside me. A crow called somewhere above the trees. I called again. "Anybody here?" Still nothing. I told myself someone had gone for a short hike. Maybe they were fishing down the creek. Maybe they were collecting water. Maybe they were nearby and just couldn't hear me, but something felt wrong. Campers leave signs of themselves, a cup near the fire, a pack under a tarp, footprints in the mud, ash in the fire ring. This place had none of that. The fire ring was clean. The ground around the tent was untouched. Even the leaves looked undisturbed. It looked less like someone was camping there, and more like someone had set up a display. I should have left. Instead, I made my second mistake. I stayed. Not in the tent. I wasn't that stupid. I pitched my own tent on the other side of the clearing near the creek. I kept my distance from the green tent and told myself that if the owner came back, I would apologize and move farther down the trail. I gathered a few extra sticks, started a small fire, and heated a can of stew. Darkness settled quickly. The forest became a wall. Beyond the firelight, everything disappeared. I ate sitting on a flat rock, listening to the creek and the soft crackle of burning wood. For a while, the uneasy feeling faded. Then I heard a zipper, slow, careful, zzz-zip. I looked up. The green tent was still closed. I stared at it for a long time. Nothing moved. I told myself it was my imagination. Maybe the sound had come from my own pack shifting. Maybe wind had dragged something against the fabric. Then it happened again. Zip. This time, I saw it. The zipper on the green tent moved down 2 inches, then stopped. My body went cold. Hello? No answer. I stood. The fire popped behind me. The tent remained still. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it at the green fabric. Hey, I didn't know anyone was inside. I'm just camping for the night. I can move if this is your spot. Silence. Then the zipper moved again. 1 inch. 2. 3. A narrow black opening appeared. I couldn't see inside. My hand tightened around the flashlight. Are you okay? Nothing. The opening widened. Then a smell drifted out. Wet leaves, old meat, mold. I stepped backward. That was when I heard someone whisper from inside the tent. Don't let it know you're awake. I froze. The voice was low, hoarse, a man's voice. I could barely breathe. What? The whisper came again. Put out the fire. My eyes moved from the tent to the trees. What's going on? The man inside the tent answered so quietly I almost didn't hear him. It likes the light. Every instinct in me screamed to run. Instead, I stood there like an idiot, staring at that black slit in the tent. Who are you? No answer. Are you hurt? The tent shifted, just slightly, like someone inside had leaned closer. Then the voice whispered, I was you. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? The zipper snapped shut, fast. Zzz-zip. The tent became still again. I didn't sleep. I sat by the fire until the flames burned low, holding my knife in one hand and flashlight in the other. I kept looking at the green tent, waiting for it to move again. It never did. Around midnight, the creek stopped making sound. Not stopped flowing, stopped making sound. The water was still moving. I could see it in the moonlight, but I couldn't hear it. No splashing, no trickling, no insects, no wind. The entire forest had gone quiet. Then something knocked on a tree. 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. I turned toward the sound. It came from beyond the green tent. A few seconds passed. Then another tree answered from the opposite side of the clearing. Knock, knock, knock. Then another, farther away. Knock, knock, knock. The sound moved through the forest in a wide circle. Something was marking my campsite. I reached for my backpack and pulled out my satellite GPS. The screen flickered. No signal. That wasn't impossible, but it was strange. I had tested it earlier. It had worked fine. I grabbed my phone. No service. No surprise there. But the time on the screen read 5:12 p.m. It had been 5:12 for hours. My watch showed the same thing. 5:12 p.m. That was the time I entered the clearing. My mouth went dry. The knocking stopped. For several seconds, there was only silence. Then a voice called from the trees. Caleb? It was my father. My father had been dead for 11 years, I didn't move. The voice came again, soft and familiar. "Caleb's son, can you hear me?" My eyes filled with tears before I could stop them. It sounded exactly like him, the same deep warmth, the same tired breath between words, the same way he said my name. "Don't answer," the man in the green tent whispered. I flinched so hard I almost dropped the knife. The zipper had opened again, just enough for his voice to escape. "Whatever you hear, don't answer." My father's voice drifted through the trees. "I'm lost, son. Please. I can't find my way back." I pressed both hands over my mouth. I knew it wasn't him. I knew that. But grief doesn't care what you know. Grief hears a voice it misses and becomes a child again. The green tent whispered, "It doesn't know him." "What?" "It only knows what you remember." My father's voice came again. "I'm by the creek." That was wrong. My father never called it a creek. He always said stream, every time. My fear sharpened. Whatever was out there had reached into my head, but not deeply enough. I leaned close to the green tent. "Who are you?" For a long moment, there was no answer. Then the man whispered, "My name is Aaron Pike. I found this campsite 3 years ago." My throat tightened. 3 years? I thought it was empty too. I looked at the tent. The fabric was clean, the poles were straight. Nothing about it looked 3 years old. "How are you still here?" Aaron's answer came slowly. "I'm not." Before I could respond, something moved at the edge of the clearing. Not a person, not an animal. A shape, tall and thin. It stood just outside the firelight, between 2 trees. I couldn't see a face, only the outline, long arms, bent shoulders, a head tilted slightly to one side, watching. The fire dimmed, not burned down. Dimmed, like the light was being pulled away from it. Aaron whispered, "Look at the ground." I forced my eyes down. At first, I didn't understand. Then I saw the footprints. They circled the campsite. Hundreds of them. Bare human footprints pressed into the dirt. Some large, some small, some so tiny they could only have belonged to children. They went around the clearing again and again, but none entered. None crossed the ring of stones around the fire. Aaron whispered, "Stay inside the circle." The shape at the trees leaned forward, its head lowered. The fire dimmed again. My flashlight flickered in my hand. My father's voice spoke from behind the thing. "Caleb." Then my mother's voice joined it. "Baby, come here." She was alive. My mother was alive and living in Ohio, but the voice was still hers. Then came my sister. Then my old dog barking. Then voices I hadn't heard since childhood. Teachers, friends, people I barely remembered. They all called from the trees, all of them saying my name. "Caleb, Caleb, Caleb." The tall shape raised one hand. The voices stopped instantly. Then it spoke. Not in my father's voice, not in anyone's voice, in all of them. "You are tired." I couldn't move. "You are cold." The shape took one step closer. The footprints around the clearing darkened, filling with black water that reflected no light. "You want to rest." The fire shrank to a blue glow. Aaron whispered urgently, "Throw wood on the fire." I grabbed 2 logs from the stack and froze, fresh-cut logs, from the perfect pile, the pile that had been waiting beside the fire ring. Aaron hissed, "Not those." I looked at my own small bundle of gathered branches, barely enough to last an hour. The shape spoke again. "Use what was given." I dropped the fresh logs like they were burning my hands. Aaron whispered, "That's how it gets permission." I threw my own branches onto the fire. The flames rose. The shape stepped back. The voices became angry, not loud. Angry. My father's voice snapped. "After everything I taught you, you ignore me?" My mother screamed, "You selfish boy." My sister sobbed, "Why won't you help us?" I covered my ears. Aaron whispered from the tent, It will punish you for not coming. How? You'll see. The fire exploded, not outward, upward. A pillar of sparks shot into the sky, then died instantly. Darkness slammed down. My flashlight went out. For 3 seconds, I saw nothing. Then the moonlight returned, and every tree around the clearing was covered in faces. Not carved faces, human faces, pressed beneath the bark like people trapped behind thin skin, eyes closed, mouths open, some old, some young, some twisted in pain. There were dozens, maybe hundreds. One of them opened its eyes, then another, then all of them. Every face stared at me. Aaron whispered, "Don't let them see you cry." But it was too late. A tear slipped down my cheek. Every face smiled. The tall shape made a soft clicking sound. The tree closest to me split open. A hand emerged from the crack. Human, gray, wet. It reached toward the fire ring but stopped at the edge. Its fingers scratched the dirt. Then another hand came out of another tree, then another. Soon, dozens of hands stretched from the trunks, reaching toward me. They couldn't cross the circle. Not yet. I backed toward my tent. Aaron whispered, "Your tent won't protect you." Then what do? You survive until morning. What happens in the morning? A pause. Then, sometimes it lets one go. Sometimes. Aaron didn't answer. The hands withdrew into the trees. The faces closed their eyes. The shape disappeared. For a while, nothing happened. That was worse. I sat in the fire ring with my knees against my chest, feeding the flames with tiny sticks, watching the forest breathe around me. The green tent stayed silent. After a long time, I whispered, "Aaron?" "Yes." "Why are you helping me?" The tent was quiet. Then he said, "Because the last man didn't help me." "What man?" "The one in the blue tent." I looked around. There was no blue tent. Aaron continued. "He told me the rules. Then when morning came, he ran. I thought he escaped." His voice trembled. "Then I found his tent waiting here the next night. I stared at the green tent. My voice came out small. 'Whose tent is that?' Aaron didn't answer. The truth settled over me slowly. The campsite kept what it caught. Not bodies, not exactly. Proof, gear, shelter, pieces of people, and maybe voices. I looked at my own tent across the clearing. Orange, bright, new, waiting. A terrible thought entered my mind. If I died here, would the next camper find my tent waiting for them? Would I be the voice whispering from inside? A branch snapped near the creek. I turned. A woman stood beside the water. She wore a yellow rain jacket. Her dark hair hung over her face. She was barefoot. Behind her stood a little boy with one hand wrapped around hers. They were both soaked. The woman lifted her head. "Please," she whispered. "We don't know where we are." The boy shivered. My feet hurt. I didn't answer. The woman stepped closer to the ring. "We saw your fire." Aaron whispered. "They always send the easy ones first." The woman looked human, too human. Her lips were blue, her eyes red from crying. The boy couldn't have been more than 7. "Please," she said. "My son is freezing." Every part of me wanted to help. I looked at Aaron's tent. "What do I do?" "Ask her where she parked." I swallowed. "Where did you park?" The woman blinked. "What?" "Your car. Where did you park?" Her expression changed, only for a second. The sadness disappeared. Something old looked out through her eyes. Then the boy smiled, too wide. "We walked." The woman lunged. She hit the invisible edge of the circle and stopped like she had struck glass. Her face twisted apart, not changed, opened. Her mouth split down the middle. The boy dropped to all fours and crawled sideways into the dark, laughing in a voice much too deep for his body. I screamed. I couldn't stop myself. The forest screamed back, every voice at once. The sound knocked me to the ground. The fire went nearly out. The circle of stones trembled. Aaron shouted from the tent, "Keep it burning!" I crawled toward the last of my sticks. My hands shook so badly I could barely grab them. I threw everything I had left into the flames. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the fire caught, the voices cut off. The woman and child were gone. The creek began making sound again. I lay on the ground, shaking, staring at the gray sky beyond the trees. Gray, not black. Dawn was coming. Relief hit me so hard I nearly cried again. The forest changed with the first hint of morning. The faces in the trees faded into bark. The footprints dried. The green tent became still and ordinary. Even the air felt lighter. My watch moved. 5:13 p.m. became 6:02 a.m. Aaron whispered, "Now listen carefully." I crawled toward the green tent. The zipper was still open a few inches. "You'll see a trail when the sun comes up. Take it. Do not take anything from this campsite. Not wood, not stone, not water, not even your own tent." I looked at my orange tent. My gear? Leave it. My car keys are in my pack. Then carry the pack only if it never touched the ground outside the circle. I remembered setting it beside me near the fire, inside the circle. Good. Do not look back until you reach the parking lot. I nodded. Then I asked the question I dreaded. "What about you?" Aaron was silent. "Aaron, I heard my daughter last night." My chest tightened. "She died before I came here. She was 5. His voice broke. For 3 years, I didn't answer. The tent fabric trembled slightly, but last night she called me Daddy. I understood. I didn't want to, but I did. "Aaron, don't." His voice became softer. "I'm tired, Caleb." "No, morning is almost here. For you." The zipper slowly closed. "Aaron." From inside the tent, he whispered one last time, "If you make it out, burn every map that shows this place." The sun rose. A thin blade of light cut through the trees. The clearing changed. The fire ring was cold. The green tent was gone, not collapsed. Gone. The perfect stack of logs was gone too. The footprints, the faces, the woman, the boy, all gone. Only my orange tent remained. And beyond it, where there had been no trail before, a narrow path led through the trees. I grabbed my backpack. I left my tent. I left my food. I left my sleeping bag. I left everything except my keys, knife, compass, and water bottle. Then I stepped onto the trail. Behind me, my father's voice spoke from the clearing. "Caleb." I kept walking. My mother called next. "Baby, wait." I walked faster. My sister screamed, "Don't leave us." Branches scraped my arms. Roots grabbed at my boots. The trail twisted in impossible directions, but I followed it anyway. The voices followed. Some begged, some cursed, some laughed. Then Aaron's voice joined them. "Caleb." I almost stopped. His voice sounded close, right behind me. "Caleb, you forgot something." I didn't look back. The trees thinned. I saw daylight ahead. My legs burned. My lungs felt like fire. The voices became desperate. "Caleb! Wrong way. You're going deeper. Stop. Look at me." Then the forest fell silent. I knew that was worse. The trail ended at the parking lot. My car sat where I'd left it, but the old pickup truck was gone, the one with the faded "Stay Found" sticker. I reached my car, unlocked the door, and threw myself inside. Only then did I look back. The trail was gone. Just trees. Thick, ordinary trees. No path, no orange tape, no clearing, no sign that anything had ever been there. I drove straight to the nearest ranger station. The ranger on duty was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and silver hair. She listened without interrupting as I told her everything. When I finished, she asked one question. "Was there a tent?" I nodded. "What color?" "Green." She closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked older than anyone I had ever seen. Then she pulled a folder from a locked drawer. Inside were missing person reports. Dozens of them. She slid one across the desk. Aaron Pike. Missing October 17th, 3 years earlier. The photo showed a man in his 30s smiling beside a little girl with missing front teeth. Behind them was a camping display at some outdoor store. Beside Aaron's feet sat a green dome tent. I felt sick. The ranger took the report back. "You were lucky. That thing doesn't let many people walk out." "What is it?" She looked toward the forest beyond the window. "We don't know." "Then why isn't the trail closed?" "It is." I frowned. "No, I followed it from the parking lot." She shook her head. "There is no northern trail from that lot." I pulled out my paper map and unfolded it on her desk. My finger moved to the dashed line I had followed, but it wasn't there. No access trail, no creek, no ridge, just blank green forest. I stared at the map. "That's impossible." The ranger said nothing. I reached into my backpack for my compass. That was when my hand touched something that shouldn't have been there. A tent stake, orange metal, from my tent. I never packed it. I never touched it. It lay at the bottom of my bag, damp with black mud. The ranger saw it. Her face changed. Slowly, she stepped back. "What?" I asked. She whispered, "You brought something out." The lights in the ranger station flickered, once, twice. Then every sound disappeared. No phones, no wind, no birds outside, no hum from the lights. The ranger stared at me with horror in her eyes. From somewhere behind the building, deep in the trees, my father's voice called gently, "Caleb." The ranger reached for the phone with trembling hands, but before she could touch it, something knocked on the wall. 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. I looked down at the orange tent stake in my hand. Black mud dripped from the tip. Then a zipper sound came from somewhere inside my backpack. Slow, careful. Zip. And Aaron's voice whispered from the darkness inside, "You should have left everything."